Welcome back to my Writer's Room, everyone. I am Matt Wallace, YouTube's resident angry writer, and thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to come hang out with me here in my angry, lonely little writerly sanctum. I always appreciate that. I really do. Me not being naked on the vlog is brought to you, as always, by our t-shirt of the day. Today I'm rocking my really sweet Solar Skull t-shirt from Masked Republic. I got this out of my monthly Lucha Loot Deluxe Booty Chest, which is the only monthly subscription box of Lucha Libre themed merch out there, and it's one of my favorite things on the planet. You can see me unbox those over on my wrestling channel, Matt Evan Wallace, if you're into that kind of thing. If not, don't worry about it. It is February 27th, 2018. It's Tuesday. You're fully committed to the week now. There's no turning back. You've come too far. I've drawn what I guess is Robot Hamshackle Pig. It started off as like cubist 8-bit Hamshackle Pig, and then I just realized it looks like a robot, so I've committed. So it's the Hamshackletron 9000. That's what, or like the Cyberman version of Hamshackle Pig for you Doctor Who fans out there. Enjoy that. Enjoy that crossover on this Tuesday at the end of February. It is unseasonably cold here in Southern California. Probably, I assume, because of all that climate change that doesn't exist, and it's wreaking hell on my joints. It's like having hundreds of little reminders that you made really bad choices in your youth, which I did with my body back when I was in my pro wrestling days. I broke my, Jesus Christ, it's this one. I broke my collarbone. The worst I ever got hurt when I was a pro wrestler, it was in a match, but it wasn't in the way you probably think it was. I got whipped into the ropes, you know, when you see the guy bounce off the ropes. When I went to bounce against the top rope snapped. And it's one of those things, man, that really reinforces whatever craft you practice, whatever industry you're in, whatever thing you do, like, the fundamentals are so immensely important. Like, they really are. The basics, we learn them quickly. We tend to lose them just as quickly, but you should always keep an eye on fundamentals. And this was one of the overriding lessons of my life I was about to learn in that moment when that rope snapped. You are taught very early on, at least I was in wrestling school, when you hit the rope, you hook it with your arm. That way, in case the thing breaks, you know, it's kind of like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, you know, the bridge scene at the end there, like, you got something to hang on to when the bridge collapses. I didn't do that. So when the rope snapped, I think I was around over 300 pounds at the time. 300 pounds, 6'4", running full speed, hurled myself at the ropes, and the top rope snapped. I go flying to the outside, and no padding on the concrete, and I broke my collarbone. I fractured my orbital bone. I fractured my my elbow and my femur. Busted up my hip pretty good. It was bad, man. That sucked. I was out of action for a goodly while there. The collarbone was the most debilitating part of it. You don't appreciate your collarbone until it snaps in half, and it never really healed properly. Like, if you feel up here, you can see how distended. Distended probably isn't the right word, but it's wildly uneven. You can feel the uneven break there. But that immobilized me for weeks. And I still feel it really bad there. I feel it in all of my joints when it's cold like this. Because all of my joints are basically pre-arthritic at this point from all the years that I wrestled. But those bad breaks, the ones that didn't heal, my hip and my collarbone, they're the ones that kind of sing out the most and tell me, hey, fatty, you made really bad choices early on, and you're not helping yourself with all this weight you carry now. I'm working on the weight part, but yeah, so it's a painful morning. I have a long day of marketing ahead of me that I'm not particularly looking forward to today, which is my head is not into it as much as I am enjoying my new full-time marketing writing job, and as much as I enjoy the people that I work with, just having one of those days where I'm having trouble getting my head around the fact that this is who I am and this is the thing I do and these are the things I need to get done. And I'll push through it and it'll be fine. But just I hate starting days on premises like this where I'm just in a huge amount of pain, and my brain doesn't seem to want to focus, and I know that I have to. And I'm thinking about all the tens of millions of other things that I need to do that have nothing to do with my full-time job, the pitches that I need to finish, the novel that I need to finish, the emails that I need to follow up on, the admin that I need to do for my website and this vlog and my newsletter and all this different stuff. Meanwhile, I'm still waiting to hear back from the novel that I have out right now to like every publisher in America of any notes. Like my agent and I are still waiting to hear back with initial offers, hopefully, which will be initial offers instead of initial rejections. So I just got that going on. And I don't really have a thesis for any of this right now. This is the daily vlog, and you guys seem to give a shit. I don't really know why most of the time, but I just wanted to explain to you where I'm coming from today, and that's where I'm coming from today. Coming from several hundred acute points of pain and a brain that doesn't want to exist in the present, and a lot of scattered, worried, and concerned about a million things that I need to make a list of and attach some kind of structure to so I can push through them. And that's where we're gonna start with the vlog and with this Tuesday. So kind of bridging off that a little, do you remember when writing fiction was just a thing you wanted to do? Just the writing of the fiction, not as a vocation, not professionally, not culturally, not as anything other than I really want to tell this story that I have an idea for and I want to tell it well. Do you remember when that was everything? When that was what it was all about? If you're still there, if you're in that place right now and you're watching this, I absolutely commend you. And I advise you to take a moment and breathe that reality in, because in many ways, it's never going to get as good as that again. It really isn't. I long for that time. I long for that time when that was what it was about. Not that doesn't exist anymore. Not that I'm speaking from like this totally jaded, cynical place of like I've gone corporate and I'm not an artist anymore, and it's all about the money. And that's not true. I always operate from a premise with my fiction of I have this cool idea and I want to do it well. That's still there, but it's not buried under everything else, but it's certainly the first step in this staircase I've built over the last 12 years. And the staircase has gotten so high that, you know, by the time I reach the top step, I can't even see that first one anymore. And that first step, like I said, that used to be everything. Just having a great idea, or an idea that you loved. Maybe it wasn't a great idea, but who cared? You loved it, and you wanted to find the best way to tell that story and convey that and have it be a thing. And that was so rewarding just to do that. And I miss that. And that begs the question for all of you who are like me, who are no longer in that place anymore, who are more in a place of industry and writing factoring into your life more as a vocational thing and as a practical thing. And, you know, you're lucky to get to that point. That's a whole other subject. But the truth is, if you're at that point where when you think about the writing you do, you also have to think about, like, money and your brand and your career and a million other things that relate to it, like, you know, the time it's taken away from all this other stuff that you have in your life. You start to ask the question, like, what are you writing for? Like, when you set out to do a project, what are you trying to accomplish with that project? You know, how much of that is still, I have this idea that I really believe in and I want to write it, and how much of it has become, can I market this? Can my agent sell it? Will my publisher like it? Will my editor like it? Is there an audience for it? You know, like, is it a viable property I can adapt into other mediums, into television or comic books or whatever? You know, is it gonna get me the glory and the prestige and the status that I desperately want to achieve in this community and in this industry? You know, because that becomes a thing too. The older I get, the less I give a shit about that, but I totally get it. And I still have those impulses too. I'm an incredibly competitive person. The ego side of being a professional writer is there, and it's real, and it's a very real thing. And I think that is a huge motivating factor to a lot of people I see doing their thing as pro writers these days, and it's kind of sad. I don't know. What got me on this was I was reading a Medium article by Justina Ireland, who for several years was she created and was maintaining a Google document which was writing in the margins. It was a sensitivity reader database. If you don't know what a sensitivity reader or editor is, you should go check out the Ditch Diggers podcast I do with Merle Lafferty on. We've done some episodes on that. We've had some sensitivity editors on that show. At base, all it is a resource for writers who want to write accurately. You know, it's like if you're writing about French Polynesia in the 18th century, you want to research French Polynesia in the 18th century. If you're a white dude who is writing about the experiences of a character who is a black woman, you want to talk to a black woman and make sure you're getting it right and getting it authentically and seen from a perspective that you don't have. It's just it's really at base just a research tool. The problem is that everybody gets so up their own ass about it. It becomes this whole conflated conversation of you know, people trying to force PC political correctness onto authors and inhibit their art and the way they write. It's really just a bunch of stagnant white people complaining that they're being policed by people of color. Because if we ever feel that way, like, we become like cats cornered in an alley, and it's not pretty. But yeah, all sensitivity reading is it's a research resource for writers who want to write more authentically and more accurately. And you should want to do that for several reasons. The most basic of which is that's where good fiction comes from. It comes from a place of authenticity and doing your research and writing accurately. And again, in a way that you would want to, if you're writing about repairing a car engine, you'd want to know what the hell you were talking about. If you're writing a voice of a character whose experiences are vastly different from your own, you'd want to know what the hell you were talking about. So you should want to do it just because it makes your book better. It makes you a better writer. It makes your fiction better. It makes your craft better. On a human level, you should just want to do it because you don't want to be perpetuating bullshit stereotypes that have existed, particularly in the medium of SFF and all American media, all of it, pervasive everywhere. But just talking about SFF right now, has existed in SFF ever since the field got going. You should want to not perpetuate any more of that bullshit. You should want to not harm people by misrepresenting them in your fiction. It's a shitty thing to do. It's a shitty, unnecessary thing to do. Just because you want to write your book the way you want to write it. Most of that coming from, like, I really think most of that comes from people wanting to write the books that they grew up with. The problem is most of the books you grew up with were shitty. That's just the truth. There are a lot of great novels, but there are also the field of, and again, focusing on SFF, was just cluttered with shitty, like, fantasy. Like, not fantasy in the way of being fantasy genre, but just, like, these, like, ethnic fantasies of histories that were nothing but white people, you know, doing white shit. Mostly, you know, with toxic masculinity prevailing in there, and, you know, men being men and women being damsels in distress, and people grow up with those books, and they love those books, and they make them feel really good if you are the demographic represented so well in those kind of books, and you want to go out there and write your own version of them. And I think that's where a lot of this springs from. And then being told that, hey, those books were shitty, and what you're doing is shitty, and you shouldn't do that. You know, that's when, again, cat cornered in an alley. The claws come out, you try to make yourself really big and puffed up, and you get really defensive. So anyway, Justina wrote this Medium piece saying basically she wasn't going to maintain the writing in the margins, the sensitivity database anymore. She's going to leave it up, but she's not going to maintain it anymore. The reason for that was several-fold. She said she was hearing from a lot of sensitivity editors who were being ignored, who weren't being paid, which is a cardinal sin that really pisses me off. I always hate it when freelancers are ignored and not paid. Being ignored and not paid and just generally abused by people, which is incredibly not cool. She was seeing a lot of authors using sensitivity readers as a shield against legitimate criticism, which absolutely happens. And worse, she was seeing legitimate publishers. I think it was Harlequin. They reissued some crappy book that they did. I think it was called The Continent. And they actually called out their sensitivity readers by name to say, look, we did our due diligence, and if the book is still crappy, it's your fault. Which is a terrible thing to do. Usually you have a non-disclosure agreement with people like that, and it's a really shitty thing to, like, put them on Broad Street like that and leave them open to taking all the abuse because you wrote a shitty book and probably didn't listen to them when they told you it was shitty. So for all those reasons, and because that's not what Justina worked on this database to be, she's stepping away from it. And I can't blame her, but it's such a loss. It's such a loss of such a valuable, immensely valuable and necessary resource. You know, and the reason for it is just because we're shitty people. That's the thing I can't get past. We're shitty people who act shittily, and because we persistently do that as a community, as a culture, and as an industry, now we lose this thing. Again, Justina's leaving the Google Doc up. She's just not maintaining it anymore. But I think it's tantamount to the same thing, because without dedicated curators and people who care, you know, it's just, I hate to be dramatic, like it's going to fall into the wrong hands and become corrupted and become evil, but that's kind of what's going to happen. It's going to become like Wikipedia, basically, which is not a good thing. I'm sorry, it's not. So I don't know, that was just, that really pissed me off and really just bummed me the hell out this morning. So yeah, what are you writing for? Do you have a story that you really want to tell, or do you see people getting the kind of attention that you want to get writing a specific kind of story, and you think, I'm going to do that too, even if it's really not your story to tell, even if it doesn't come from your experience, even if it's hijacking the voices and the experiences and the stories of a marginalized group that's finally getting their work through in a few places, and making a bunch of money off it yourself, which is not a cool thing to do. You know, what are you writing for? What are you trying to accomplish? What do you want? You want street cred? You want to feel cool? You want money? Like, what is the thing driving your actions as a fiction writer? And again, I don't have a thesis here. I'm just saying I think it becomes increasingly necessary to ask yourself that question as you do this more as a vocation and a profession than from a pure place of passion and just wanting to create something. And it's easy to lose sight of the pure goals too. It's easy to, even if you're not, that's the thing. A lot of people who write these books that get called out for having shitty representation in them, I don't think the authors, most of the time anyway, I don't think they were malicious. I just think they were ignorant in a lot of ways. They were ignorant and misguided. The problem is when they get called on it, that's when they tend to turn malicious, when they get defensive, and when and when they respond to that kind of criticism. That's when they really screw up, and they just make it 10 times worse. And at some point in that process, they should have asked themselves the question, what am I writing this for? Why am I standing by this? You know, what is the thing I was trying to accomplish with it? And I think that would have, if they had asked themselves that question and been honest about it, I think it would have served them a lot better. It served the community a lot better, and just not forcing people like Justina to take the kind of action she's taking now, stepping away from the sensitivity reader database to where we all lose something really valuable and really needed. So that's all I've got. What are you writing for? You know, ask yourself that question. Whatever stage you're at in your career, or whatever stage you're at in your creative and professional development, always worth taking a step back and examining what's important to you, what you're actually trying to accomplish by doing this, and where the motivation comes from. And I think you'll find, even if you're generally a very good person, I think you'll find a little bit of ego there. At the very least, you'll find a little bit of ego, a little bit of self-absorbed, self-interested facets there that you hadn't really acknowledged before. And you got to watch out, because those can creep up into your work and they can corrupt it. They really can. In very slight, very subtle sometimes, but very important ways. So yeah. What are you writing for? So I've gone on a while here. I'm going to wrap this thing up, but just very quickly, I've got some self-interested things I want to cover very quickly. I've mentioned the Ditch Diggers podcast before. We've gone weekly with that, Mer Lafferty and I. It's our weekly podcast about the business of writing and being a freelance writer. It's not about the craft. It's not about how to write. It's about how to be a professional freelance writer and how to deal with this business. We aim for education and fair pay advocacy on that show, and it's something I'm very proud of. We've gone to a weekly format, doing it every week. We're having it professionally transcribed, so it's as inclusive as it can possibly be. We're very proud of all of that, but the overhead also goes up when you do that. So I'd really appreciate it if you consider supporting the podcast on our Patreon. It would help out a lot, even if you pledge just $1. It makes a huge difference. It really does. $1 a month, Huge difference. If everyone subscribed to this channel would do that, or if everyone who followed us on Twitter would do that, like we'd have no issue whatsoever. We'd have a well-funded podcast that we could run easily every week and do all the things we want to do with. So just consider supporting us on Patreon if business, education, and fair pay advocacy for freelance writers is something that matters to you, because it matters to us. We take it very seriously, and it's what we aim to do with the podcast. The other thing I would mention is Hugo voting is going on right now. Hugo Award voting. Ditch Diggers podcast is eligible for Best Fan Cast category at the Hugo Awards. We got on the ballot last year. We were really fortunate to be nominated. This year, we would like to take it home. We'd like to take the award home and be very validating again for everything that Mur and I try to do. Would mean a lot to Mur, who is a Hall of Fame podcaster, been doing this for 12 years, and is yet to win Best Hugo for her podcast. I think she deserves it. I think our podcast deserves it. If you're nominating for the Hugos, please put us up. If you could just signal boost to everyone who is, because I'm sure you know people who are, even if you're not, signal boost to them to nominate it. We'd really appreciate that. And on the Hugo tip, this little guy is eligible for Best Novella at the Hugos. This is the sixth and penultimate novella in my Sin du Jour book series from Tor.com Publishing. It is, and honestly, the only reason I bring it up, I'm not going to get nominated for Hugo for any of these. They're just not the kind of books that do it. This is my favorite book in the series, and I'm intensely proud of this book. And I'm not somebody who says that about their own shit very often. I don't really like rereading my stuff very much. I think I did some of my best writing in this book. I went for some like complicated, semi-deep shit in this, and I really think I nailed it. And I'm just very proud of it, of the job that I did. And I'm proud of my editors and my line editors, everybody who helped make it better. I think it's worthy. And so again, if you're nominating for the Hugos, or you know people who are, Gluttony Bay by Matt Wallace from Tor.com Publishing for Best Novella at the Hugos. I wouldn't hate it. It would be validating. It'd be validating for my publishers who work very hard to help me do this whole 7-book epic grand series that I pitched them years ago and had this huge vision for that they've carried through. I'd love to deliver on that for them, and I think the book is worth it. The 7th and final book, Taste of Wrath. This is wrapping up the series that I've been working on for 4 years. It's the 7th and final book in the series. This comes out in April. I'm going to be doing some book signings around Southern California to promote it. Would love it if you'd go out and support it. If you haven't gotten into the series yet, plenty of time to catch up so you can experience the final volume with the rest of us. Really proud of the series. Proud that I'm getting to finish it. Grateful to Tor.com Publishing for the opportunity to finish it. And yeah, Taste of Wrath coming April 10th. Also out right now, Rencor, Life in Grudge City, my lucha buddy cop, supernatural adventure, mystery, comedy, drama, everything wrapped into one package, and then wrapped in bacon like a bacon wrapped hot dog that you would get at a Mexican wrestling arena. Love this book, very proud of it. It's a very unique thing. I don't think anything like this, honestly, has ever been published before. This kind of story and the way we told it. It's from Parts Unknown Publishing. You can get it on Amazon in print and ebook. I wanted to say ebook. So yeah, all of those things. It's how we keep the lights on around here. Appreciate your support on all of them. Thank you for letting me shill. I don't do it a lot on the vlog, but sometimes it's necessary. All right, well, apparently I had a lot to say today. I apologize. I'm trying to get these things down to around 10 minutes apiece, and I'm failing miserably at it. But it is what it is. We're going to end for today. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of this vlog. Let me know what you think of the channel in general. Ask me a question, suggest a topic for me to talk about. I just love hearing from you. It's Tuesday. I will be back all through the week. Until then, I am Matt Wallace, and I will see you all tomorrow.